Tired of feeling overwhelmed and anxious after scrolling through social media? You're not alone. Social media can be a double-edged sword. While it connects us, it can also drain our energy and leave us feeling stressed. But imagine a world where you can enjoy the benefits of social media without the side effects. This video isn't just about tips. It's about reclaiming something you might not even realize you've been giving away your peace. Let's be honest. Most of us don't even notice it anymore. The way the thumb moves on autopilot, the way we reach for our phones in moments of silence, as if silence itself is a problem to solve. We enter the feed to feel connected. But so often, we leave feeling hollow, like we've touched everything and held nothing. Have you felt it? That strange, slow behind your eyes after too much screen light. That heavy quiet after an hour of watching people live while you forget you're alive. It's not your fault. These platforms are designed by some of the smartest minds in the world, trained not to build community, but to maximize your time spent watching, clicking, comparing. And yet, no one ever taught us how to be with social media, only how to be on it. There's a difference. Being on something is passive. It means being swept up by the current. Being with something, that's presence. That's agency. That's awareness. The truth is, you don't have to delete all your apps or move to the mountains. You don't need to perform a digital exorcism. What you need, what we all need, is a new kind of relationship. One built on boundaries. One built on breath. One that honors your nervous system. Because your sanity isn't optional. You weren't built to be a machine. You were built to feel, to rest, to wonder. But wonder doesn't come when we're always swiping. So the question isn't, should I quit social media? The question is, how can I stay without losing myself? This video is a quiet map, not loud advice, not hustle logic, but a slower kind of wisdom. In the next few parts, we'll explore what it means to be digital without becoming disconnected from your soul. Together, we'll relearn how to log in without logging out of your body. Because somewhere beneath the noise, you are still here. And if that sentence hits somewhere deep, maybe you're already ready to begin. You're listening to Silent Sage Stories, where timeless wisdom meets quiet reflection. If this space feels like something you've been needing, a quiet room in a loud world, then maybe, just maybe, you could pass it on. A like, a share, a subtle act of resonance. Let's go deeper, gently. It starts small. You open your phone for something practical, to check the weather, respond to a message, set a reminder. But before you know it, you're scrolling and scrolling. and scrolling. 10 minutes pass, then 20. Then somewhere between a meme and a motivational quote, you forget what you came here for. There's a name for this digital dissociation. The gentle numbing, the soft self-forgetting that feels almost like rest, but leaves you more tired than before. You didn't mean to vanish. You just drifted. We often think of addiction as something dramatic, something with needles or smoke. But the truth is, most addiction today wears a smile, fits in your pocket, and congratulates you for staying informed. But what if the very thing you think is keeping you connected is also the thing unraveling your attention, your self-worth, your ability to sit in stillness without needing to be seen? That's the quiet cost. Not just time wasted, but presence diluted. You see, social media isn't evil. It's just efficient. Too efficient. It delivers validation before you've had time to ask yourself whether you truly need it. It lets you witness joy, grief, outrage, and beauty, all in the span of 60 seconds, without offering space to feel any of it. And when you finally look up, you don't feel informed. You feel frayed, like your soul has been overexposed. The first step, then, is not deletion. It's discernment. Start noticing the threshold, that invisible line where curiosity turns into compulsion. Can you feel it? It's the moment when you stop choosing what to look at and start being dragged by the algorithm's hand. Try pausing there. Try whispering to yourself, am I still here? Not in judgment, not in shame, just presence. That question, soft as it sounds, is radical. Because attention is currency now. And every moment you reclaim is a small revolution. You don't need to burn it all down. Just build some walls inside. Digital boundaries aren't about restriction. They're about reverence. You are not a feed. You are not a profile. You are not an update waiting to be. You are someone who forgets and someone who remembers. What would it mean to remember before the forgetting even starts? Try this. The next time you open an app, ask yourself, what am I hoping to feel? Connection, inspiration, relief, name it. Let the desire speak. Because once you name the need, you no longer have to chase it blindly through noise. You can meet it directly in gentler ways. You are not weak for struggling with this. The system is designed to erode intention, but there's a kind of quiet strength in slowing your scroll, in turning off the screen before your mind turns off too, in saying softly, not right now. That's what reclaiming looks like. Not dramatic, just deliberate. And over time, deliberate becomes sacred. If any of this feels familiar, maybe it's time to become a little less available, not out of apathy, but out of self-respect. You are allowed to miss a post. You are allowed to reply later. You are allowed to be unreachable so that your spirit can reach deeper places within you. There is a world outside the screen. And more importantly, there is a world inside you waiting to be heard again. You're listening to Silent Sage Stories. If these words slow your heart, maybe it's because you're remembering how to be whole. Keep listening. The silence has more to say. There's a strange kind of loneliness that lives inside constant connection. You can talk to hundreds of people, watch thousands of lives, and still feel unseen. Isn't that the paradox? We are more reachable than ever, and somehow more unreachable within ourselves. Social media is often described as a mirror of our lives, but it's more like a funhouse mirror, distorting, enlarging, minimizing, until we no longer recognize the shape of who we actually are. You start comparing your regular days to someone else's curated highlight reel. You start doubting the value of your quiet moments because they aren't photogenic. You start believing that success looks like speed, and that peace is something to be earned through productivity. But what if none of that is true? What if your worth was never meant to be measured in metrics? We don't often talk about it, but every scroll is also a subtle shaping. It shapes what you think is beautiful, what you think is normal, what you think you should be doing. And slowly, invisibly, you begin to internalize someone else's dream. That's the danger. Not that social media lies to you, but that it tells a version of the truth, so polished, so persistent, you stop trusting your own. And yet, it's not just comparison that wounds us. It's performance. The feeling that you need to show you're living in order to prove that you are. A meal isn't just eaten, it's documented. A sunset isn't just seen, it's captured, filtered, posted. Even joy becomes something you feel through the lens of how others might receive it. But what if you let a moment just belong to you? No audience, no reaction, no proof. Would it still feel real? Would it feel more real? There is healing in the unshared, a conversation that's not recorded, a laugh that's not turned into content, a sadness that's allowed to exist without being turned into a post about resilience. You are not a brand. You don't need a narrative arc. You don't owe anyone an update about how you're processing your humanity. You can simply be. And sometimes, that is the bravest thing you can do. Try this. The next time something beautiful happens, don't reach for your phone. Reach inward. Notice the texture of the moment. Its colors, its warmth, its fleeting shape. Let it move through you, like breath, and trust that just because it wasn't captured doesn't mean it was wasted. Some moments are meant to stay wild, unshared, unframed, alive. The world will still be there when you come back. The likes, the views, The news, they will keep moving. But what you build in the stillness, what you rediscover in the absence of applause, that is yours, and no one can algorithm that away. If these words stir something in you, if they make you pause, even for a second, maybe that's your soul, tapping gently on the door, asking to be let back in. You're listening to Silent Sage Stories. And if this moment is yours alone, that's enough. Breathe. Feel. Be. We're only just beginning. There's something sacred about boredom, not the restless kind, but the slow, open stillness that happens when there's nothing to click, nothing to respond to nothing, demanding your attention. Do you remember it? That childhood space where your mind wandered, where ideas bloomed out of silence, where time stretched instead of collapsed. We've lost that, not because it disappeared, but because we stopped allowing it. Social media doesn't like boredom. It interrupts it. It fills every pause with noise, every moment of potential rest with stimulation. And so we become allergic to silence, mistaking peace for emptiness, stillness for laziness, reflection for inefficiency. But your soul is not a machine. It needs open space to breathe, to wander, to wonder, to realign. You don't have to meditate on a mountain to reclaim your mind. You just have to start noticing when your phone fills a space that used to belong to you. That 2-minute wait in line, that moment before bed, that small window of quiet in the morning. These are your portals, tiny doorways back to presence, to clarity, to self. Try leaving one of them open. Let your mind be empty for a while. See what comes. Stillness is uncomfortable at first because it's honest. Without the distraction, you start hearing things you've buried, the unresolved, the unmet, the unprocessed. But that discomfort, that's where healing begins. Because when you sit with yourself long enough, you start remembering who's been there all along. You, unperformed, uncurated, unfiltered, just you. And maybe that's enough. There's a quiet power in choosing discomfort over distraction, in not checking your phone the moment it buzzes, in waiting, in breathing, in asking yourself, do I want to let this in right now? Because not every ping is urgent. Not every notification deserves your nervous system. You get to choose. That's the beginning of sovereignty. Try this. Pick 1 hour, just one each day, where you let yourself be unreachable, not as punishment, as practice. Let the world go on without you for a bit. Let your mind unfurl in the absence of input. Read something slow. Take a walk without a podcast. Lie on your back and stare at the ceiling like you did when you were 7. You're not wasting time. You're remembering how to be. This isn't about quitting technology. It's about not letting it colonize every corner of your inner world. You are allowed to be offline. You are allowed to miss things. You are allowed to value your peace more than your performance. Because the truth is, your presence is not a product. It's a practice, and each small decision to reclaim it is a thread that stitches you back into the fabric of your life. You're listening to Silent Sage Stories. If your breath feels slower, now, that's not an accident. Maybe it's your body remembering what it feels like to not be watched, to not be reacting, to not be scrolling, just existing. Softly, quietly, fully. And that is enough. Somewhere along the way, we started outsourcing our intuition. We began looking outward to comments, likes, headlines, hashtags for confirmation that our thoughts were valid, our feelings appropriate, our choices acceptable. It's subtle, but it chips away. Each moment of self-doubt patched over by someone else's opinion. Each quiet knowing inside you drowned out by a louder voice online. Until one day, you stop asking yourself what you think and start Googling it instead. This is the real loss. Not just time, not just attention, but the erosion of inner authority, the quiet voice inside you, the one that knows when to say yes, when to say no, when to pause, when to walk away, has been trained to wait. Wait for feedback. Wait for consensus. Wait to be told. And when you wait long enough, you forget how to hear it at all. But that voice is not gone. It's just buried under layers of input, under the weight of constant reaction. To find it again, you don't need another app. You need less noise. You need spaces that don't demand anything from you. You need quiet places where your thoughts aren't interrupted by the next scroll. And most of all, you need trust. The kind that can't be downloaded. The kind that's grown slowly through solitude. So, when was the last time you made a decision without asking someone else first? Not out of pride, but from a place of grounded knowing. Not reckless, not rushed, just real. The world will always offer its opinion, but only you live in your body. Only you carry your soul. There are truths in you that were never meant to be crowdsourced. Try this. The next time you feel uncertain, don't reach for your phone. Reach inward. Write. Walk. Weep. Wait. Give your own wisdom a chance to speak before replacing it with someone else's. You'd be surprised what starts to rise when you finally make space to listen. Dun dun. This is the heart of digital sovereignty. Not just turning off notifications, but turning up the volume on your own interior life. Learning to feel again, without filters. Learning to think without trending prompts. Learning to choose without apology. So, And yes, it will feel lonely at first, because noise is addictive, and silence feels like withdrawal. But on the other side of that ache is clarity. The kind that doesn't shout. The kind that doesn't scroll past you. The kind that sits down beside you and says, "You already know." So, you're listening to Silent Sage Stories. If you've made it this far, maybe you're not just looking for answers. Maybe you're looking for yourself. And maybe you're starting to remember where you left her. Keep going. You're almost home. Some people think freedom means doing whatever you want. But real freedom is knowing what not to do. It's walking away when everything in the algorithm is engineered to make you stay. It's closing the app when your nervous system starts buzzing. It's saying, "Not now, not this, not me," and meaning it. Because the longer you live online, the easier it becomes to forget that you're allowed to say no. Not because you're anti-tech, not because you're trying to be better than anyone, but because you're learning slowly, sacredly, what makes you feel alive again, and what doesn't. This is the pivot, not away from technology, but toward intentionality, toward rituals instead of reflexes, toward using the tools without letting the tools use you. Because the apps aren't the enemy. The absence of discernment is, and discernment starts with noticing how you feel. Not what you see, not what you think you should feel, but how your body responds. Tightness in your chest, a shallow breath, a sudden wave of not enough. These are signals, not to judge, but to adjust. Ask yourself, what kind of content helps me remember who I am? And just as importantly, what kind pulls me away from myself? Begin curating not just your feed, but your inner atmosphere. Follow less noise. Mute more chaos. Bookmark the voices that bring you back to your center. This is not spiritual elitism. It's nervous system hygiene. And maybe you'll start creating differently too. Not to perform, but to express. Not to impress, but to connect. Maybe you'll stop chasing virality and start practicing vulnerability. Maybe you'll stop posting for applause and start writing like someone's soul might need what you have to say, even if no one claps, even if no one sees. Because when you stop creating for metrics, your voice comes home to itself. But try this. Next time you post something, pause. Ask, am I sharing this to connect or to be validated? Neither is wrong, but only one will leave you feeling whole. The other, it just feeds the hunger that brought you online in the first place. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to not reply right away. You're allowed to not be up to date on everything. That doesn't make you uninformed. It makes you, well, a person who's choosing life over the illusion of omnipresence, a person who's remembering how to be in one place, at one time, with one soul, yours. You're listening to Silent Sage Stories, and if this has been more than just background noise, if some part of you feels less alone, less wired, less lost, then stay for the end, because the closing isn't really an ending. It's the start of something softer. Maybe the point was never to escape the digital world, but to find a way to walk through it with your soul still intact, to scroll with awareness, to post with presence, to consume with care. Maybe the goal isn't balance, but alignment, a life where your attention isn't fractured, where your self-worth doesn't fluctuate with engagement, where your inner life remains your own. But the world is not going to slow down for you. But you can slow down within it. You can protect the quiet places inside you, the places where meaning lives, where intuition whispers, where your breath becomes prayer. You can choose to stay soft in a world that rewards spectacle. You can choose to be present in a culture that celebrates distraction. You can choose to be whole in systems that profit from your fragmentation. And maybe, just maybe, you'll begin to see social media not as a threat, but as a tool, one that you hold, instead of one that holds you. Because when you're rooted in who you are, no algorithm can uproot you. And when your silence is sacred, you no longer need to speak just to be heard. So here we are, still in the noise, still in the feed, but perhaps a little more awake, a little more deliberate, a little more you. If this journey brought you back to yourself, even for a moment, maybe it's worth sharing. Not for clout, but for connection, a like, a share, a soft rebellion. And if not, that's okay too. This space is here, whether or not anyone claps. You're listening to Silent Sage Stories, where timeless wisdom meets quiet reflection. Until next time, stay rooted, stay soft, and most of all, stay you.